test is in 4 parts, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4. Now look at Part 1.
Part 1.
You will hear a conversation between a man and a woman. The woman is talking to the man regarding a job in a hotel.
First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
Good morning, Vela Hotel. How can I help you?
Hello. I read about your advertisement in the midday news.
Yes, we have given more than one advertisement. Is that advertisement related to housekeeping staff?
Right. I'm interested in the cleaning department.
Great! Actually, I'm not dealing in this department. The person who is taking care of this department is not available today. Still, I can help you by giving you the basic details if you're interested.
Oh, that will be great. What kind of staff are you looking for?
The staff that we are looking for includes laundry, shoe polishing facilities, keeping the building clean, sweeping, mopping, dusting, vacuum cleaning, and bathroom cleaning. Housekeeping staff also clean the windows and public areas and remove trash and deposit it into the building dumpsters.
Absolutely right. Can you tell me the working hours?
We have 4 shifts. Early morning shift from 4 a.m. to 10 a.m, morning shift from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m, evening shift from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m, and night shift from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m.
So, do you give the option to the people of choosing the shift timings?
Actually, we do not encourage that. The reason is that everybody would choose the shift according to their preference, but we do allow replacing 1 week's shift with another shift timing.
I think it would be better if I note all this down. Also, can you tell me about the day off system?
We offer 2 days off and you can change the days on every alternative week of the month.
Can you please tell me regarding the payment system?
Absolutely, just a moment. Yes, I have them. You get $8 per hour, which includes your break.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
Will I get meals or...
Yes, we offer meals to all our staff and there is no charge for it, which is a big relief.
Awesome.
Also, you'll be happy to know that you also get tips from our bona fide guests.
What about the uniform? Is there any uniform system? I mean, do you provide the clothes as a uniform?
Of course, it slipped out of my mind. We do provide clothes for the uniform.
Wow, that is good. As it is difficult for one to manage one's uniform, what is the colour of the uniform?
Green shirt and cream trousers, no prints, just plain.
Oh, I forgot to ask about the date. From when can I join?
Can you hold for a minute? You can join from the first week of next month. You know the weather is improving.
Perfect. I'm free from next month.
Great. But I would like to inform you that you have to call again and speak with Miss Samantha Bradshaw, as she's the manager who is dealing with housekeeping department. She'll guide you as to when you come for the interaction with the manager.
Not a problem. What time should I call again?
You can call her after 2 days, as on that day she'll have time to interact with you.
So shall I call back on the same number?
No, I'll give you her number. The number is +044 888 333 5385.
Okay, I will call her.
Do tell her about all information which I've given you, and also you'll be asked some verification questions.
Not a problem. Thank you very much.
You are most welcome.
That is the end of Part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to Part 2.
Part 2.
You will hear a man giving a guide talk to new students at a university library. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully to the guide talk and answer questions 11 to 16.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to Wesley University Library. This is a 20-minute tour around the library to show you all the facilities and all you'll need to know to start off your life here as a student at the university. What I'll start by doing is telling you about what you need to do to join the library. Then I'll briefly tell you about our facilities, and then I'll guide you quickly round and show you everything. So, to join the library, you need to go to the reception between the hours of 9 AM and 5 PM. After that, the reception closes, though all the other facilities will stay open until 10 PM. At the reception, they'll give you an application form. After you fill that in, you'll have to give us the fee of £5, which you have to give us every year that you're a member of the library. We will also need to see your university card to confirm that you're a student of the university. And finally, we'll need 2 passport photos, one for our records and the other for your library card. You will need to do all this as soon as possible so you'll be able to use the facilities at once. I'm sure your workload will begin to build up soon. Now, let me tell you a bit about the facilities. The library opens daily from 8 AM to 10 PM, though, as I told you earlier, the reception operates only between the hours of 9 AM and 5 PM, although this is extended to 6:30 PM on Fridays to give students more time to organise their book requirements for the weekend. The reception is closed on Sundays. Undergraduate students are permitted to take out 4 books at any one time, and each book may be borrowed for a period of 2 weeks. Postgraduates may borrow 6 books at a time. Borrowing time can be extended by a period of 1 week per book if the student comes into the library in person with the book in question so it can be re-stamped. We do not renew book borrowing over the phone. If you are late in returning any book, then you will be charged a fine of £2 for every week that you are late. You won't be able to take out any other books until this fine is paid. This is not a method of earning money for the library, but merely what we have to do to ensure that all students have access to all the books that they will need.
You now have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the guide talk and answer questions 17 to 20.
OK then, on to the layout of the library. We're on the ground floor of the library at the moment. Here we have the reception, the computers, which you can use to search for books and their location, and the bathrooms, which are behind the reception. The rest of the ground floor is taken up by the non-lending section of the library. Here we keep all the books which are either too valuable or are used too much to lend out. You can reserve time with these books at reception and use them during any time that the library is open, but, of course, you may not remove them from the library. On the first floor above us we have the arts section, which includes books that students will need for subjects such as languages, literature, art and history. On the second floor is the science section. We'll see these in a minute. Of course, individual departments will usually have their specialist libraries in their buildings, though the computer catalogues here will list them so you know where to find everything, whether it's here or in the specialist libraries. Finally, in the basement we have the stack system, which contains the university collection of magazines and journals that we have collected and to which we subscribe. If there's anything that we do not have or that you can't find, please go to reception and let them know the details. The university operates a swap system with other universities, and we can arrange for volumes that we do not possess to be sent here on a limited loan. Well, those are the basic details about the university library.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
Part 3.
You will hear 2 teachers talking about the work experience programme for their students. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
OK, we've got to arrange this programme.
Work experience. I believe quite strongly in this myself. Studies are often just too theoretical and the best learning can be on-site.
Sure, in principle, but you've got to find the right companies. For business students, it's so easy with all the commercial enterprises around here, but for our lot of engineering students, it's not so easy at all. Last year's education students were easy too. We just put them all into schools.
Well, there are a few companies that will accept our students. Building sites are the main avenue to explore, but the trouble is that not many of these places want inexperienced learners around.
Why not?
Last year when I did this, I think these companies were worried about accidents. Now it's more a time issue. They just don't want to train people.
But these people work for free.
But training takes time, and in the economic recession, few companies want their personnel diverted for such purposes. But I did find some companies, enough for us at least, but they all insist on one thing.
Minimum work time of 1 month, right?
No, that the students are appropriately insured. Remember, these are building sites and there are quite a few hazards there, and we're putting untrained students, not trained students, right amongst them. So these companies want financial coverage in case of accidents.
Gee, is that going to be expensive?
Yes, I'm afraid so, since we live in quite a litigious society. Consequently, insurance rates are sky high, almost unaffordable.
I see. Can our budget meet this? Last year we couldn't pay for the programme.
This year we can, since we have fewer students to deal with, but we'll nevertheless have to cut corners in certain areas.
I never like it when that happens.
Neither do I.
In which areas do we need to economise?
Well, the payment to students is not going to change. After all, they won't do this work unless they can get some money. We'll also continue to subsidise their travel as we did last year.
Last year we gave them a completion bonus too. It was a big success. Made them go through the whole month.
But not this year. We'll impress upon the students that possible failure could result if they don't finish the whole term.
OK, I trust that will work.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
The most important issue for me about this work experience programme is which companies are getting involved, and that was your job. What companies did you find?
Right, 4 companies are prepared to help out. Hepplewhite Distilleries, AJ & Sons Engineering, Johnson Demolition and Sansoni Security.
How many students can they take?
Hepplewhite can take 5, no 6.
6?
Sorry, 5. It's limited at the moment by the winter, since beer drinking is lower around this time. As for AJ & Sons, that would be 7.
Last year it was 17.
Not this year, I'm afraid. The other 2 places are 6 and 6, which makes up everyone, 24 of them.
Right. What about starting dates?
That's the problem. They cannot all start and finish on the same date, which makes this a little hard to dovetail with the academic semester. Hepplewhite can accept its cohort around August 15th. AJ are a little later, starting 5 days later, in fact.
The 20th?
Actually, the 21st is what they said.
And the other 2?
The demolition company can start earlier, the start of the month, the 1st, and the security firm will start 3 days later on the 4th.
OK, that sounds good. And will all our students work for 1 month?
Well, remember, it doesn't have to be a full month, but just long enough to meet syllabus requirements.
So, how long is Hepplewhite going to use these students?
They said 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks if we want it.
We want it. Tell them the longer option is necessary.
Sure. I think they'll accept that. The students will probably buy some of their product, which will make the owners happy. As for the engineering company, it's giving 24 days.
That's fine. And the demolition company?
They're saying 2 weeks, 14 days.
Impossible. The students can't complete their projects in such a short time. You'll have to be stronger. Tell them minimum 18 days.
All right. The owner seems reasonable. He'll probably accommodate us if I throw in a few incentives. That leaves the security company, which is offering...
Let me guess. 3 weeks, 21 days.
Almost. 22.
Ha! I was close with my guess of 21.
Just 1 day off.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
Part 4.
I've asked you here just to remind you about this Friday's field trip.
First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
OK, I'd like to keep this meeting as brief as possible, as I'm sure we all have things to do. I've asked you here just to remind you about this Friday's field trip. This is the first of many field trips you'll be going on, so there are a few rules I'd like to make clear now. Most importantly, I want you all to remember that simply because you are leaving the college does not mean that you are not studying. This is an essential part of your course and should be treated as such. There will be 2 assignments for you to complete whilst you are there, and some extension work you will be expected to do over the weekend, so I suggest you all pay attention on the day. Moving on, remember that we are going to a salt marsh and must dress appropriately. High-heeled shoes and t-shirts are not what I consider appropriate. You need good footwear, preferably boots, and you should bring a waterproof jacket as the weather is unpredictable. It would also be a good idea to bring a change of clothes. There is a chance you will get wet, and a 3-hour return journey in damp clothes is nobody's idea of fun. We will be on the marsh from about 10 o'clock to about 4, so you'll be given a light lunch. However, if you want to bring any snacks with you, then please feel free to do so, although we will be stopping for dinner on the way home. Now, this is the 4th time the college has been to Park Drive Saltmarsh, and so far we have never lost a student. However, remember that there are 28 people going, and if you are late, you will be keeping myself and your colleagues waiting, and at that time in the morning you will not find me very forgiving. Please try to arrive a few minutes before 7. If you are not here on the hour, you risk being left behind. For those of you who are being collected in the evening, you can expect to be back here between 8:30 and 9 p.m. But do warn whoever may be coming for you that the traffic is unpredictable and it may well be later.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.